Disney's latest addition to their roster of animated films is Turning Red, and it sure did bring a lot of us back to the 2000s, with all the nostalgic stuff featured such as the Tamagotchi, the evocative boy band that looks a lot like Backstreet Boys, and the old and classic 2000s phones. We all sure had an instant time travel back to 2002, but it didn't only transport us back in time, it also reminded us of our adolescence and puberty. Despite the film's outstanding depiction of growing up, a lot of fans have been in the dark about the movie's ending. Did Meilin Lee keep her panda? Will she be keeping her panda forever? The whole movie has underlying meaning about adolescence and puberty, but just looking through the film's superficial story, it might be a little hard to decipher what its ending really meant. If you are also wondering what that ending was all about, then you're in luck, because in today's video, we'll explain Turning Red's ending in detail. But before anything else, watch out for some major spoilers, and make sure first to hit the subscribe button and smash that notification bell for more updates. Now, let's unleash that red panda. Set in Toronto in the early 2000s, Turning Red tells the coming-of-age story of Meilin Lee, who is hit with a significant problem no 13-year-old girl would anticipate. Should she get overly excited to reach high levels of stress, Mai instantly transforms into a giant red panda. Meilin Lee faces puberty in the movie and the Great Red Scare. And not the one you think. She's like any other girl that age. She loves hanging out with her friends, feeding her Tamagotchi, and listening to her favorite boy band for town. That is, until she awakens one day after a particularly spooky nightmare to find that she has transformed into a giant red panda. Meilin discovers a family secret. She has the capacity to transform into a gigantic red panda if her emotions became too strong. The plot follows Meilin and her pals as they attempt to cash in on her talent and exploiting it to pay for concert tickets to Fort Town, the hottest boy band in 2002. All while keeping Meilin's family in the dark about her activities. It's a heartfelt tale of family and camaraderie, but where does the curse originate? When the curse first manifests, Mai doesn't understand what's going on. Red pandas are the symbol used by her family's temple that she helps to maintain, but she's unaware of their deepest significance until her own furry problem starts to rear its head. That's when Meilin's mom, Ming, explains some crucial family history she's avoided mentioning for a bit long too. There's a ceremony that will cure her, but the longer she embraces the panda, the harder it will be to get rid of it. But what if Mai kind of, likes the panda? Turning Red is as much about growing up as it is about how that affects the relationship between mother and daughter. The film is unique and has a lot of layers to explore. So we break down the ending, including why Mai decided to stay a red panda and more. How generational trauma was discussed. The relationship between Mai and her mother Ming lies at the heart of Turning Red. Although the two are inseparable, the film depicts Mai's growing distance from her mother as puberty and adolescence set in. Turning Red is important because it examines generational trauma and rifts between moms and daughters. Mai is able to confront Ming in a way that neither she nor her sisters were able to do with their own mother and thereby ends the trauma cycle. Mai accepts herself completely and recognizes that her evolving connection with her mother isn't a terrible thing. It simply requires some adapting. And while she's never been the daughter who is always seeking to please Ming, her change into a red panda and the hardships of growing up didn't have to build such a chasm between them that they don't converse or remain close to some level. Why did Mai decide to keep the red panda? Mai was terrified of her transformation into a red panda, and who wouldn't be? While Ming indicated that the red panda has a darkness to it that becomes stronger the more she transformed into it before the ceremony. Mai was able to manage her emotions well enough to become the red panda on her own terms. Throughout the course of Turning Red, Mai got more at ease with the red panda and gained confidence in her own body and growing up. Ming, her grandmother, and aunts were still afraid of the red panda and the emotional turmoil it seemed to bring. But by the end of the movie, Mai had made peace with her red panda. She regarded it as her strength rather than a flaw, and she fully accepted who she was. the two sides of her, as well as the growing pains and changes that came with it. Mai didn't know what lay ahead for her once she decided to retain the red panda, but she knew she'd have to figure it out on her own, and that the panda wasn't something she should hide. It had become a part of her, and she accepted the responsibility that came with it. Her family, on the other hand, had already locked off that part of themselves for many years. Ming, her sisters, and her mother didn't share Mai's enthusiasm for the red panda. Therefore, it was only natural for them to return the panda spirit and carry it with them. What's the true meaning behind Turning Red's ending? Turning Red explores numerous concepts, the most important of which is that emotions and awful things that happen should not be pushed away, but rather embraced. It's why Mai is a panda. She doesn't hide her emotions or confronts her mother in the end, even if she doesn't know how things will turn out or if their relationship will improve or deteriorate as a result of it. It's also about accepting change and realizing that Mai can't keep striving to please her mother, since she'll be miserable in the long run. By the end of Turning Red, Mai is aware of and accepting of the changes that are taking place in her life. Despite her fears that remaining a red panda will separate her from Ming, she decides not to suppress that aspect of herself. It's a brave step to the unknown, and Ming's willingness to embrace her growing pains and the changes that come with it allows her to open up and leave her comfort zone in response. Why Turning Red is set in 2002 instead of the present? Because director and co-writer Do-mi Shi was inspired by her personal connection with her mother, as well as the relationships of her friends and family. Turning Red is set in the early 2000s rather than the present day. The year in which the film is set is reflective of Shi's own adolescence, which plays an important role in the plot. For millennials who tuned in to watch, it also brings back memories of boy band infatuation, facial band-aids as fashion, and Tamagotchi virtual pets, which were all the rage back then. All of these elements contribute to the uniqueness of Turning Red, making Mai and her friends feel more like fully developed teenagers who are maturing and changing. Furthermore, the era allows for a simpler story to be conveyed, one that isn't muddled by tweens' use of social media and other such things. They still had flip phones in 2002. How Turning Red promotes self-love, panda style. Would it really be a Pixar movie if you weren't ugly crying by the end? Mai meets the teenage version of her mother in the spirit realm in the film's most moving scene. Mai takes her mother's hand and leads her through the mythical doorway, where she will once again give up her panda. It's a completely unexpected and incredibly moving moment, and this isn't the last time you'll cry. The gift of the red panda may be a curse to some, but it's ultimately up to each individual to decide how they use it. When her ritual is finally completed, Mai embraces Sun Yi in the spirit realm before returning to the real world as her full self, red panda and all. At the end of the movie, Mai is transforming to and from her panda state. She's reconnected with her friends, and she's helping her mother out at a family temple, embracing what she has become. That's all for today. We hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, make sure to watch another one of our Disney episodes, Turning Red Easter eggs you definitely missed. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and smash that notification bell for more videos.